This is the next video lecture on sexual reproduction in flowering plants. And we mainly started with the agents of pollination. In this chapter, we started with agents of pollination. And before that, we completed the pollination and types of pollination or kinds of pollination. And after that, we started with agents of pollination. In that agents of pollination, in your NCRT, they mainly given three important agents. Mainly two important agents. One is a biotic agent, another one is abiotic agents. In abiotic agents, there are two types. One is with the help of wind, another one is with the help of water. That is anemophily and hydrophily. Two are there, and both the two we completed. Another one is there pollination by animals that we will study today. And just go back through the two concepts, that is pollination by wind and then pollination by water. Students, the characteristics of wind pollinating flower very important. Please remember, so many times they ask the question. And pollination by water, that is also important. The characters that also asked so many times. Please remember, both of them are very important. If you go through the pollination by wind, we'll show the points here. Pollination by water and pollination by wind here. The characters are very important here. Please remember here, that is first. Here they given here, usually in case of wind pollinating flower, the pollen grains are non-sticky, and so you can find here feathery stigma, and then here the stamens are well exposed. Okay, and then wind pollinating flowers have often ovals, single oval in the ovary, and numerous flowers packed in the inflorescence. Okay, these are the some important characteristics of wind pollinating flower. And if you go through the water pollinating flower, here two example they given here: pollination in Vallisneria and pollination in Zostera. Two they given, those two are very important. Please remember how the pollination occurs in Vallisneria and in case of Zostera. Vallisneria is important, please remember. And here you can see the characteristics of water pollinating flower. That is usually they are usually ribbon like structures we can find in case of pollen grains. Pollen grains are look like a ribbon, and they are well protected by mucilaginous covering. They are well protected by mucilaginous covering. You can see here, these two are the important characters. And all the flowers those are present in the water, they are all not pollinated by the water. Okay, for example, you can take here water hyacinth and then water lily. Here flowers are emerged out from the water. They are emerged out from the water. And pollination, for the pollination purpose, they depend on water, or sorry, not water, they may depend on the wind and animals or insects. With the help of that, they can do their pollination. Okay, these are the important points regarding pollination by water and then pollination by wind. Please remember. Okay, going to the next one, that is pollination. Sorry, one thing I have to explain here, that is Vallisneria and then Zostera, how the pollination occurs here. In case of Vallisneria, what happens? The male and female flowers. Here the female flower, the stalk is coiled here. The female flower uncoil that stalk and then it moved upwards to the surface of the water. And the male flower is itself, the pollen grain is going to be detached, or either flower is going to be detached from the plant, and it is also going to be reach the surface area, and the pollen grains are going to be released out, and they are going to be reach the female reproductive part, that is stigma, and pollination can occur. This is in case of Vallisneria. And in case of Zostera, usually it is completely submerged. Both of them are completely submerged. Okay, and here ribbon like pollen grains are there inside the water, they are going to be released, and then they migrate towards the female reproductive part, and then pollination occurs here in case of Zostera. Okay, these two are the important pollinations in case of Vallisneria, in case of Zostera. Please remember. And next here, Next concept here, pollination by animals. This is also important. Pollination by animals. Students, you are all familiar with this because you can see some, for example, you can take a honeybees. Day to day life, you are observing the honeybees and they are migrating here and there to collect the nectar, to collect the, and along with that, they are going to be transfer the pollen grains. So that is a well known pollination. We all know that. And here, the pollination by animals. Okay, here the majority of the pollination occurs with the help of insects. So we call it as a entomophily, the pollination by animals, especially majority in case of animals. We can take the example insects. So they given the word that is entomophily. It depends on the animal. What either the birds are going to do the pollination or either any other animal is going to do the pollination. Okay, it depends on that we can give the different names, but here majority insect are going to be do the pollination. For that purpose we given the name here entomophily. Just remember that. And here so many animals are involving here. So many animals are involving here. There is a small animals are there, so like insects are there, and along with that large animals are also there. Okay, they're all going to be do the pollination. We can see here so many pollinating agents are there. Okay, this comes under biotic agent. This comes under biotic agents. Please remember, sometimes they'll ask the question, write the abiotic agents for pollination or write the biotic agents for pollination. Okay, please remember. And here bees are there, butterflies are there, flies are there, beetles are there, wasps are there, ants are there, moths are there, birds. You can take the example sunbirds and then hummingbirds. And bats are also common pollinating agents. Even bats are also involved in the pollination. Even bats are also involving in the pollination. You can take here example. And coming to the animals, among the animals, all these among the animals, insects, especially particularly bees are there. Dominant in case of biotic pollinating agents. These are dominant. Bees. Bees are the dominating biotic agents for pollination purpose. Okay, here the moths are also going to do the pollination. Birds can also do the pollination. Ants can also do the pollination. But the majority is very less. Majority is very less. But bees can do the majority pollination. Major pollination. Majority. They are going to be do that. Okay. See here. Even larger animals such as primates, lemurs, they given the example that is lemur. Then arboreal tree dwelling, rodents are there. Then even reptiles, you can take the gecko lizard and then garden lizard. In some cases mammals are also going to do the, here they given the primates, they comes under mammals only, they are also going to do the pollination, but in a less condition, very few conditions, but majority with the help of bees. All we know that plants mainly usually angiosperms, majority of the angiosperms, they give preference for the animal pollination. Okay, pollination by animals, this they are going to be mainly prefer. And so many animals, insects, they're all involving in the pollination. And for the pollination purpose, plants should have some important adaptations. They should have some important adaptations. When you observe the wind pollinating flowers and water pollinating flowers, they will not produce any nectar. They are not that much colorful. They will not produce any fragrance. Why? Because they are using abiotic agents for their pollination. They are using abiotic agents for their pollination. So they are not that much they are not that much colorful, and then they will not produce any nectar because there is no need to attract the abiotic agents. No need to attract the abiotic agents. They don't need to attract the air. They don't need to attract the water. Okay, the water is going to be knowingly or unknowingly, water is going to do the pollination, and wind is also going to do the pollination. But that will not happen in case of animals. It's not possible in case of animals. Sorry, it is not possible in case of animals. It is not possible because the plant should attract the animal. Okay, plant should attract the animal. For that, it should have some adaptations. It should have some adaptations. For example, you can take plant should have big flowers. They should have big flowers or large flowers. They should have large flowers here. They should be colorful. They should be have fragrant, and they should contain nectar. Okay, these are all the important characters what they have just to attract the insect, because most of the angiosperms are mainly pollinated by the animals. So they should have some attractive characters. Okay, they are large, they are colorful, they have fragrant and contain nectar. Okay, these are all just to attract the animals or the pollinators. These are usually we call it as a pollen rewards. Okay, it is a pollen reward. We know that reward, the name itself indicate what they are going to be give to the animals just to attract them. For the attraction purpose, what they should have, that is very important. For that purpose, they have these all characters. Okay, and in your NCRT, they mainly given three rewards. One is pollen grain, one is pollen sorry, one is pollen grain, pollen grain, and second one, that is safe place to the safe place sorry, pollen grain. Wait. Okay, they given mainly three important rewards. One is pollen grain itself is a one reward. I will show in the next slide. And second one, they will provide the safe places for the animals to lay the eggs. And the third one, usually uh, in third one, you can see the nectar. Nectar is also one of the reward. One is pollen grain. First, pollen grain is the one reward. Second, you can see the safe places. They will provide safe places for the some insect and some birds for the to lay the eggs. And the third one we can see here, that is they should have the in third one, that is nectar. And students, in the next slide I will show here, this is the first reward what we are seeing here. This is the first reward, and I will change the color of this slide. Okay, this is the honeybee. We can see here, this is the honeybee. The plants will give the pollen grains to the animals. Whenever the insect going to be sat on the flower, at that time what happens, the pollen grains are going to be attached here. The pollen grains are going to be attached here to the body. Usually uh, animal pollinating flowers have sticky pollen grains, but in case of wind pollinating flower they are not sticky. But in case of animal pollinating flowers, they are sticky. Don't get confused, they are sticky. They can stick to the animals. Once they stick to the insect or the animal, that insect can travel from one place to another place, or from one flower to another flower. They are going to be migrate, and when it going to be reach to the next flower of the stigma, these pollen grains are going to be fall on that stigma. So the pollination can occur. Pollination is going to be occur. This is the first reward. What is this? Pollen grains. These are the first rewards to the animals. Okay, they are sticky, they attach to their body, and then those pollen grains are going to be travel, or they are going to be along with the insect, they are going to be travel, and then they fall on the stigma of the next flower. Okay, that can lead to the pollination. Okay, this is the thing. First one, that is pollen grains. And next to that, here next to that, we can see here, that is safe places for the pollination purpose. They are going to be provide safe places for the pollination. Safe places they are going to be provide here. They are safe places. For what purpose safe places? Just to lay the eggs. Safe places to lay the eggs for the some insect or some birds to lay eggs. Okay. We can see the important flower here in your NCERT they given. One of the biggest flower in the world, that is amorphophallus flower, one of the biggest flower. You can see here the mans are like here, they are around 5 feet or 5.5 feet, but you can see the flower here, this is around 6 feet. You can see the difference here, the man, and this is the complete flower. These two are the mans. Here the complete flower, you can see the length of the flower, it is very high, it is around 6 feet. It is around 6 feet. Amorphophallus flower. Here there is a lot of place. Here they can lay the eggs inside the flower, they can lay the eggs, and simultaneously pollination can also occur. Okay, for pollination can also occur. This is the one example what they given, amorphophallus flower. Please remember that. And next to this, we can see here yucca and moth. These are also two examples. Yucca is a plant, moth is an insect. Yucca is a plant. Here what happens in yucca plant, they usually present, the inflorescence usually present here, they are present in cluster. Okay, enormous flowers, they united to form a cluster of flowers, inflorescence. And here the diagram that's showing the yucca plant flower, it is a yucca plant flower. You can see here, here the moths, here the small moths you can observe here, these are the small moths. Here what happens in yucca plant, yucca plant will not complete its life cycle without the moth, and moth will not complete its life cycle without the yucca plant, because yucca plant provide safe places for the moths to lay the eggs. And simultaneously what happens, when the moths come for to lay the eggs, at that time along with that they carry the pollen grains, and those pollen grains will release to the flower, okay, to the female reproductive part. Then simultaneously usually the pollination can occur, and they're also going to lay the eggs, and these will lay the eggs in the locule. These will lay the eggs in the locule, so pollination also occurs there only, and they are also going to be lay the eggs here. Moths are going to be lay the eggs inside the this flower. Okay, inside this flower you can see here the clear picture. Inside this flower they are going to be lay the eggs. This is the moth. Okay, and simultaneously here there is a development of the moth development occurs, and then along with there is a development of seed. There is a development of seed is also going to be developed, and then moth is also going to be developed simultaneously. They completely depend on one another. Okay, they will completely depend on one another. They will not complete their life cycle without one another. Okay, they will not complete their life cycle without one another. Okay, this is the next river, and this is the next river, that is yucca and moth. You can take the example yucca and moth. And nectar, and sorry, I was not added here in this slide, but nectar is also one of the pollen reward. Important, please remember, nectar is also one of the important pollen reward. Here what happens, birds usually, birds and honeybees, you can take the example. Butterflies, you can take the examples. They mainly take the nectar from the flower. Okay, they will take, or they will collect the nectar from the particular flower, because that is very tasty. Okay, that is very tasty. So they are going to be collect the nectar. They will going to be collect the nectar as a food. They will take the nectar as a food. During the collection of that nectar, the bird can travel one flower to another flower. The butterflies can travel from one flower to another flower, and honeybees also can travel from one flower to another flower. At that time, what happens? So the pollen grains are also going to be transferred. Like that, there is a pollination can occur. Okay, these are all the three rewards what the plants are going to be give to the animals. One is pollen grain, it is itself a reward. Second one, safe places for the to lay the eggs for so many animals. And next to that, we can take uh, nectars. Nectar is also one of the important. And students, here the particular animal species are going to be do the pollination to the particular plant species, because they have some attraction with those particular species. Okay, like that there is a pollination. Okay, these are the important points about pollen rewards and pollination by animals. Students, I think so you understood all the concept, and if you have any further queries or any doubt, you can ask with the through WhatsApp. Okay, thank you. And in the next video lecture, we'll begin with another important concept, that is outbreeding devices. Okay, that we'll discuss in the next video. Thank you.